remember many years ago when I was on the staff at San Jose State and we got fired. And so, obviously out of a job, and my wife's parents lived in San Jose, so we unfortunately had to move in with them for a little bit. And so we were there for about a month, and I was bored to death trying to figure out what am I going to do to get better. And so I pulled out some old Cool Clinic tapes, and I threw a few in the VCR back in the good old days. And it's Coach McNally, and he's talking posture, and he's into this duck walk, this deep duck walk, and he's talking, and he's showing it and demonstrating it, and he's on the board writing this whole time. He's keeping his knee bent. First of all, I'm thinking, this guy's legs got to be dying. I don't know if you guys have seen those tapes, but he'd hold that position forever. Okay? And so going through all this stuff, and my wife walks in the room, and she looks at this tape for about 30 minutes as it's going, and I'm into it, and she looks me dead in the eye, and she says, when my parents get home, that shit needs to be off. And so, come full circle now, last year, we go vacation. It's June 1st, or whatever, July 1st, we go vacation. I take my wife, my daughters down to San Diego for a wedding. Day one, get up at whatever, 6 in the morning, because I'm not used to vacation. They're dead asleep, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to the tapes. Last year's tapes from the clinic, I throw them in. Coach Solari, phenomenal energy, great passion, love what he's talking about. I was fired up. I put Coach Alexander in. My wife comes out, and I think, okay, here it comes again. Well, I'm not living at her parents' house, so I got my own set of rules. Now I'm getting ready to pounce on her when she says something. She sits down and listens to this for about 5 minutes and goes, this guy's unbelievable. He's talking about playing the piano and playing offensive line and this artwork and all this good stuff. And I'm thinking, this guy's a lot smarter than me. That's probably where the disconnect is here, but his was awesome as well. Very good stuff. I want to talk to you guys tonight about fundamentals. And so have kind of come full circle talking about fundamentals. And so I always start the year by talking about championship offensive line play with our guys. That's our mission. We want to have championship offensive line play. And about 5 years ago, this was the only thing I had up in my meeting room anywhere. I had my board where I'd put depth chart and different stuff, but I had this sign up on the board and it said, play smart, great fundamentals, and finish blocks. And that's our mission. I think as we all know, play smart simply means assignment, error-free football. If a guy busts in the offensive line, there's no mystery what happens. It's a negative play. It's a problem. Many times if a guy busts in the defensive line, it's still a negative play for the offense. It doesn't matter. We can have 0 assignment mistakes, period. We consider that a given. We're going to figure out who to block, or we're going to get them blocked. Okay? Great fundamentals. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then finish blocks. That's our mission. We want to finish blocks. We'd love to finish blocks on top of the defensive lineman. That excites us. That doesn't happen all the time. The bottom line is, we want our guy that we're blocking not to make the play. Okay? And so Coach Peterson was sitting in my room, and then in the meeting room, and then the players left, and he grabbed me afterwards and he said, hey, Strauss, what's great fundamentals? I said, I don't know. It's good technique. It's a drive block. It's a reach block. And he said, well, if you think your guys are going to play with great fundamentals and you don't know how to explain it to them and they don't know how to explain it back to you, you probably have a problem. So I went on a mission to try and figure out what do we really truly consider great fundamentals. And I really wanted to make it 3 because I think guys learn with 3s easier. Okay, but I couldn't. And I spent some time with Jim Mahalchek, who's now at Arizona, Mike Kavanaugh at Oregon State, and those guys had a lot to do with some of this good stuff that we've done. But we came up with these 5 things, great fundamentals, okay? Now our fundamentals to us, this is the building blocks. This is what our guys have to be able to do to have success. These 5 things have to happen every single play. You may think this is very easy, basic stuff, and as a bunch of football coaches in a clinic, yes it is. But I'm talking about the players understanding this, the players knowing what this means, the players being able to not just recite this back to you, but to do it on the field. Okay? Stance and start. And I'll get into obviously all 5 of these. Butt down. That's my way of saying pad level. Okay, feet apart, playing with the base, run, pass. That's the other thing. All 5 of these things come into play. Run, pass, whatever, every single play. They don't have to learn these 3 fundamentals for run, these 3 fundamentals for pass. It's these 5 fundamentals, and if you can get it figured out, you're probably going to have a smile on your face at the end of the season. Okay? And I know we're never going to simplify what we do offensively. We got a lot of scheme. We probably got too much scheme. That's just who we are. But when it comes to the fundamental part of it, I needed to make this as simple as I possibly could. Hands inside. Okay, lastly, eyes to the aiming point. Those 5 things at all times we want to get done. Every drill we do, we can talk about all 5 of those things. Okay, and I'm not going to talk about a bunch of drills here. We have some drills as examples, but it's not about the drills. It's about these fundamentals. So stance and start, we're really talking about getting out of your stance, 2-point, 3-point, whatever. We're mostly 3-point and into the fit of your block. Okay, so your footwork and then the fit of the block, the first 2 steps. Some coaching points that I use with myself, not necessarily with my players, but drop and cock. We want to put our chest on our thigh on the run game on that first step. Okay? And then just as an example, our first 2 steps will have some different variations depending on what type of block it is. Most of what we're going to see here today is a dry block, inside zone stuff in the run game. So I put lateral, vertical up there. That's what their footwork is. It's a lateral first step and a vertical second step. Okay? So let's take a look at a few things here. So stance and start. Again, going back to the stance part of it. Okay, the stance is very offensive specific. So your stance may be very different than the stance that I teach. We're very balanced on offense. We try and have a balanced stance. I want my guys to be comfortable. I want them to be in position where they can get out of their stance fast and move whatever direction they need to move. And really it's that simple. Now I've got more guidelines than that, but that's what I'm trying to get done. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on the stance part of it. Okay? So footwork, lateral, vertical. Set them up on the line here so I know that this first step's not crossing the line. Second step, we got our fit. We'll get to hands, we'll get to hips, we'll get to aiming points. But again, this is just stance and start. We talked about the drop and cock. So again, when we're saying drop and cock, we're wanting to put our chest on our thigh. We're wanting to cock our elbows a little bit as we go. Not a big arm whip. That's wasted movement. I know a lot of guys like to come straight out of their stance to the defender. And that's great too. For us, I think on step number 2 is when we make contact. So I love to get a little bit of power wound up as we go. Little drop and cock. Again, the footwork, lateral, vertical. First step behind the line. Second step pushing vertical. Similar look at the same thing here. Just to see the closest guy here, just a little drop and cock. And again, it's not big arm action right there, just a little cock right there, just before you punch. I always tell my guys, you never see a boxer running around the rink like this with his arms standing out. You got no power there. They get their arms set and then they punch from there. We're always trying to produce powerful angles, whatever we do. Okay, so stance and start. And again, that was one example of a dry block. Our footwork's going to be a little bit different for a reach block. It's going to be a little bit different for a down block. So they need to understand what the footwork is for that. Butt down. I've been round and round on the pad level thing. We all know our guys don't play low enough. It's a constant battle. Okay? The offensive coordinator wants your guys to play low, come off the ball, go get guys, be lower than the defense. The second you do that, the defensive lineman moves, you're whiffing. Okay, we're all doing a lot of zone blocking stuff. We got to get up a little bit to see what's happened to pass off these combos, the fit combos. We can't play at the same pad level always as the defensive line. Okay, so how do you get low? Some guys are 6'6", some guys are 6'1". Most of our guys are 6'1". Okay, one thing I do know is if your butt goes down, you bend your knees. And to me, that's really what we're trying to get done in pad level, is knee bend, knee bend, knee bend. That's power. Bend your knees. Okay, you can easily get low by putting your eyes down low. That doesn't help. So butt down. Anytime you say to guys, get your butt down, they're bending their knees. Okay, butt down to bend your knees. Talk to my guys out of their stance. We want their hips to maintain that same plane. We don't want their hips to come up at all on step number 1. We want their hips to maintain that same plane, and as the play goes on, they're pressing their hips on that same level. But again, the term butt down, they're going to hear 1,000 times. They know butt down, butt down. Knee bend to one guy is very different than it is to another guy. We've all seen guys in the weight room doing their squats and they think they're parallel. Nobody's parallel. You tell a guy, bend your knees, he thinks he's bending his knees, he doesn't know. Tell him butt down. Get your butt down. Okay, not all these clips obviously will be perfect. We're looking at the guy in the middle right here, our center. But again, right now here, so butt down to him says his hips do not raise at all out of his stance. So as he takes his first step right there, those hips are staying on the same plane. Again, we're working on air here, so this is a little bit unrealistic. But this is what we're trying to get done on that first step with our butt. Again, watch the guy in the center here. Butt does not raise up out of the stance. Butt down. And as we go on throughout the play, butt down. Okay, moving right here. course, these guys were all fired up when Nike got them these new pants. They got this pretty stripe on them. Well, unfortunately, what they didn't know is I can see what that stripe does. Going up or down. Didn't work in their favor so much. Center, left tackle right here. Both those guys doing a decent job with their butt not raising up as they go. Now, as we got going here, I think almost everybody's too high. So I would certainly tell right tackle right here, butt down. You got to get your butt down so you have better knee bend right there. We got to play with our butt down at all times. Stance and start, butt down. Okay, taking it to the next step, little one-on-one rep right here. Okay, stance and start right there, lateral vertical, butt down. He keeps his butt down. He's able to maintain the block right there and go finish. Again, pressing the hips. We talked about butt down on the first step. We don't want it to raise up at all. And then press those hips as you go, keeping your butt on the same plane. And finish the block like you like to. Okay, watching the two guards here. Again, I think this is good right here, just with the stripes on their pants. You can see the difference. Left guard, that stripe's not coming up much. It may come up a little, it's not coming up much. He's playing with his butt down. He's in good shape right there. Good things happen. Okay, unfortunately, we threw the ball, but we still had good movement right there on the one technique. Right guard, watch those stripes. Way up in the air. Has a hard time maintaining the block, and really he's not getting any kind of movement right there. Stance and start, butt down. Left tackle here. Okay, going butt down here, talking about pad level. We want him to bend his knees at all times. We want him to maintain. So knee bend out of your stance, knee bend throughout the play. Keep your butt down. Give yourself a chance. He does a nice job right here. He actually is a 6'6" guy. He's got to work harder at it right there. Presses his hips, keeps his butt down. Gives us a chance to have good things happen on the play. Okay, I've showed you all run game stuff so far. Pass game, it's all the same stuff right here. Center, left guard, both these guys butt down in pass pro. Okay, really watching probably the center here. Right there, butt down. That's how you play with decent knee bend. Left guard as well. He'll change the direction right there, but he's sinking the hips right there. Playing with his butt down. Okay? Feet apart. Playing with your feet apart at all times. Okay? Playing with the base. A lot of times you tell a high school kid who just got to you, you got to play with a better base, and then 2 months later you ask them, do you know what a base is? No, I don't. That's not good coaching on my part. Okay? So base, feet apart. We want these guys to play with their feet apart at all times. When we're talking about feet apart, we're talking about their feet are wider than their shoulders. Okay, it's going to vary a little bit from guy to guy. We don't have any exact true landmark, but the feet are wider than the shoulders. The knees are inside the ankles. I tell them to squeeze their knees a little bit. Again, power-producing angles right there. We play with tight feet. Our feet are always close to the ground. That helps us play with our feet apart throughout the play. Okay, so feet apart here. We'll watch the guy on the left side right here. Obviously, you've got the board to keep him playing with the base right here, but also there's a pretty good look right there at tight feet. You can see as he goes, his knees are inside his ankles right there. Power-producing angles right there. Tight feet. The difference between what he just did with his feet and what this guy on the right side did right there is big. He's taking a big step up off the ground. He's going to be out of posture on contact when the defensive line fits him up. Tight feet, feet close to the ground. Okay, so these guys in this drill right now should be thinking all three of these things so far. Stance and start, butt down, feet apart. Stance and start, butt down, feet apart. At all times, 1,000 times a day they need to hear that stuff. And same thing here. On the left side, good tight feet. A little bit better here, but he's still taking a little bit bigger steps than what we would like. Tight feet, feet apart, feet apart, feet apart. Okay, here's a good look at tight feet. Again, on tight feet, obviously we want to keep our feet moving, but the guy, 77 right here, does a decent job keeping his feet moving. I'm sure you guys have done the base on base drills where they're not real pretty, but the guy that keeps his feet moving playing with tight feet is the guy that's going to probably get some movement at some point. You can see the other guy stops his feet. 1, 2, feet are stopped. And for a second there, you can't see it, but he's not playing with his feet apart. You got no base, you got no power. Tight feet, feet apart. Okay? Left guard right here, feet apart. Pretty nice job with tight feet again. We're not knocking the guy 8 yards off the ball right there. Or actually, we did late in the play when his feet came together, but tight feet. Feet apart right there. Okay, same things carry over in the pass game right here. All the same stuff. Stance and start. Obviously their stance and start in the pass game is a little bit different. Their pass sets are going to be a little bit different than what it was in the drive block, what we talked about. Okay, butt down. His butt should be down out of the stance. His hips should not be raising up at all. Butt down. Feet apart. He should maintain his feet apart, playing with tight feet. Pretty good look in the pass game. Tight feet right here. Short, quick steps. We're not thinking foot fire. Short, quick steps as in pitter-pat. We want them to be powerful steps. Okay, when I say tight feet to these guys, they know those have to be powerful steps. We're not just picking a foot up, putting it down. You see that all the time, guys just chopping their feet. We're not trying to chop our feet. We're trying to have productive, powerful steps so we can have a chance to go dominate guys in the play. Okay, feet apart. Left guard right here. Takes a quick set. He's got this guy man. As he comes back, feet apart. And again, we got a lot of good little teaching points to get this done, but in their mind, all that I care that they're thinking right now is feet apart. From what we've talked about, they should be thinking about 3 things at this point. Stance and start, butt down, feet apart. You'll probably hate that blue turf, sorry. That wasn't my decision. All right, hands inside. We can't talk about this one enough, okay? This is one of those areas that I think at the college level is the biggest thing to change with the high school player, the hardest thing to change, to teach these guys how to play with their hands, to teach these guys how to play with their hands inside. You take 20 minutes individual for the D-line, that's pretty much what they do. They work on getting their hands inside. I don't think I've worked on it enough as an offensive lineman. It's that important. Okay, I truly believe if Coach Wiley and myself were to get up here right now and lean on each other and I had my hands inside and he had his hands outside, he would not be able to push me back. Now, we're not going to test it, but I don't think he could push me back because I got my hands inside. It's that important. When we talk about hands inside, we always want thumbs up, elbows in. And I know there's a lot of things going on with punch nowadays with the double under and some different stuff. For us, it's thumbs up, elbows in at all times. That's a powerful position for you. Okay, thumbs up, elbows in, and we're trying to hit on the rise. We never want to hit down on guys unless we're burying them. Trying to hit on the rise. Hands inside. Watching really both guys right here, watching the guy on the right side. So, again, not a great job initially with the landmark with his punch right there, which is fine. That's going to happen. That's real football. It's not always perfect right off the stance. But then he resets that hand and gets it back in. He understands how important it is to have hands inside. You have a few different aiming points with the hands as you go, again, based on the block. Dry block right there is going to be right on the numbers. Pretty good little reset to get those hands back inside. Again in the one-on-one. I like this rep right here because we obviously lost the pad level battle right there. The defensive lineman is much lower than we are. But we got our hands inside, so we got a shot. Hands inside, good stuff happens. Much stronger with the hands inside. Would like to see the elbows in. Thumbs up, elbows in. I will say this because most of what we do, most of what I do as an offensive line coach, coaching my guys, is from behind. And it's very hard to see where those hands are going from behind. And so I coach them on their elbows. If I can see your elbows, you're not good. So in this case right here, standing behind on this guy right here, I would not have liked that because I can see his elbows. Thumbs up, elbows in. Play with the elbows tight. Same concept here. Average right here. One-on-one. We all know what our guys do in one-on-one. They cut it loose a little bit, so not great getting off the ball right there. But he's got his hands inside. Something good's going to happen. Pretty good job with his elbows right there. Thumbs up, elbows in. We'll go finish the block how we want to. Okay, hands inside. Center right here. Hands inside. Right tackle. Freshman right tackle going against our best defensive player right here. Got his hands inside right there. Good stuff happens. Really playing on their side of the line of scrimmage right now because we got our hands inside. Stance and start. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside at all times. Inside 3 here. Okay? Don't like this right here. We obviously want to punch. We talk about keeping our elbows tight. We want to punch from our numbers to their numbers. So when I see the guy's hands out like this on the punch, they're not doing the right thing. We shouldn't see their hands out wide from behind right there. Center's obviously climbing a level, so he's not going to have his hands right inside right away. Right guard, pretty good job right there, working those hands inside. Your guys don't want to grab with their hands inside, all right? All of our guys want to grab shoulder pads. They feel much more confident having shoulder pads controlling guys. You're going to have to work on it, teach them to be confident getting their hands inside. But again, good things will happen if they get their hands inside. Same thing in pass protection. It's no different. All those same things we just talked about. Stance and start. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside, looking at the center right here. Again, we want to punch from our numbers to their numbers, so that's not great for a second there. After he snaps the ball, he drops his hands. But now we got him where we want him. We got our hands inside. Great way to handle the bull rush, getting those hands inside. Pretty good job here, left guard. It's a little punch reset, but again, hands inside. Okay, center. Again, all the same stuff applies at that next level. These are fundamentals. Your fundamentals are a starting point, what you have to do at all times. This stuff that we're talking about against the defensive line obviously all still applies at that next level, at the linebacker level. So the center right here working up to that next level. Okay, butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Pretty good finish there. Looks like he's wrestling. Looks like it's a little bit of a tackle. He got his hands inside. That's legal. This guy never, his senior year, could bench press 315 pounds. He was a 4-year starter for us because he understood leverage. Very smart player that understood leverage in everything he did. Okay? And then eyes to the aiming point. Again, this is one that I debated on the fundamental. I really wanted to get it down to 3. Worst case scenario 4. But we couldn't take this one out because it's too important. The guys know how to play with their eyes. Their eyes take them into the fit of the block. Their eyes, offense, defense, special teams, it doesn't matter. And in many cases, a lot of this stuff carries over. Your eyes are going to take you where you need to go. You can't expect guys to be good with their eyes if you're not coaching them with their eyes. For many years, I said, keep your eyes up. That didn't do a whole lot. Guys kept their eyes up. But we want to be more specific than that. Eyes to the aiming point. We've got a few different aiming points. We don't have a few. We've got 5, period. Okay, and they know what they are. Under the chin, collarbone, shoulder, via the neck, and inside armpit. Inside armpit is for the tackle on pass set in most situations. In a man situation, all this other stuff's very specific to whatever block we have. But our guys should know on all those blocks, where do my eyes go? What's my aiming point? And usually if they get their eyes there, they're going to be in good shape. On a dry block, if you can get your eyes under the chin of the defensive lineman, you're going to be playing with pretty good pad level. If you get your eyes under the chin of that linebacker, you're playing with pretty good pad level. Eyes to the aiming point. So again, working here up to the linebacker level, but just focused. So we're working dry block right here. We want the eyes under the chin. All the same stuff. Stance and start right there. It doesn't matter whether they're blocking air or not. They should work that punch at all times. Stance and start. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Eyes to the aiming point. They know the aiming point on a drive block, whether they're talking first level, second level, is under the chin. Eyes to the aiming point. A little bit hard to see from this angle. But again, just very, very focused with his eyes right there, on the chin of the linebacker. Same thing's true against the defensive lineman that he's working against. A good look at two guys blocking it differently. So again, we're working our inside zone concepts here, drive block concept. Center's got a man on him. His aiming point is under the chin. He's able to get some stuff done by getting his eyes under the chin. Left tackle did not get his eyes under the chin. And now the defender's on an edge. Doesn't have the same success as the other guy did. Right guard does a nice job handling movement. I think this is one of the best things you can do to handle movement, is teach your guys to get their eyes in the right spot. So now as this guy goes to cross his face, he got his eyes under the chin right there, and he's in good position to close off that long stick move. Eyes under the chin. The chin's going to move in some cases. Stay with it. Okay, just put another one on here just to give you an example. Most of the stuff we've seen in the run game has been drive block stuff. Okay, on a down block for us, now the aiming point becomes via the neck. So left tackle in this case on the down block on a pin and pull scheme, via the neck. He's not going to get under the chin. He wants to get his eyes in the via the neck. Same thing here, left tackle, down block right here, aiming point, via the neck. Wants to get his eyes in the V of the neck. Left tackle again, down block. It's the same aiming point for the center on a down block, whether we're blocking power and it's a back block for him. It's the same for all those guys. Aiming points via the neck. And again, we've got those 5 different aiming points: under the chin, collarbone, shoulder, okay, via the neck, and inside armpit. That's it. They got to know those 5. Okay? So let's look at the big picture here. Look at all some of this stuff together. Right guard here, stance and start. Again, we didn't get specific on what the different starts were on the pass set right here. At this point right here, butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Eyes to the aiming point. For the guards versus an inside rusher, blocking him man, right under the chin. If you got a guy man and you're blocking from inside, your aiming point's right under the chin, so that's where his eyes should go. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside, eyes to the aiming point. All right there. Again, we're not going to talk about all those things on every play, but if I were to say butt down, they'd know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? Right tackle here. And again, I like these clips because it's real football. He's a 6'6" guy. He's going against the guy that was the Defensive Player of the Year in our league a couple years back. But he's able to get some positive stuff done right there. Tight feet. He's working his hands back inside. Right one's out a little bit, he worked it back inside. Left guard. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Good rep here. Again, I think this is real football. It's not starting out real pretty for him. It's a good battle. He fought himself back and got all that done again. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Okay, tried to get it done right off the bat. It didn't work out for him perfectly. Keep battling. Get back to it. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Same thing at center here. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Okay, left guard, left tackle. All these same concepts. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. This case right here, little play pass stuff, so it's a jump set. It's a little bit different stance and start than what we've seen. They know how to attack it based on what the technique is. But they also know at some point in the play they got to get the butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Pretty good look at it there. Right tackle as well. Same concept right there. He's passing off this twist. So he didn't get to his perfect fit initially because they got a little game going on. He's on the zone side of the protection. But once that looper comes, he knows what he's got to get done. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. And again, it's got to be simple for these guys. Okay? Last couple clips here don't totally relate to the stuff I talked about. I just wanted to put this on because we talked about championship level offensive line play. Okay, those three things we talked about initially: assignment or error-free football, great fundamentals, and finished blocks. Okay, and so we try and define for our guys yes or no on every play. You got something done. You're getting your job done or not. And so we show guys clips, the good stuff here. At center, we talked about this guy was not big, was not strong, but he understood leverage, and he knew how to play hard. Finishing blocks. Stay on it, stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. Okay, finishing blocks. You continue to play till that whistle blows. We don't care if it's run game, pass game, it's the same stuff. Finish blocks. If you've got an opportunity to be the free hitter, be the free hitter. Again, center right guard right here. Finishing blocks. Take your set. He's obviously responsible for this B gap right there. Nothing. Come on back in and help. Now finish blocks right there. Again, I think it's important to understand that all the stuff we talk about on that first level carries over to that second level. It's not just against the defensive lineman. We're blocking the front seven. We're almost always responsible for the front seven. Every once in a while the safeties. But we're really responsible for the front seven. We've got to be able to battle linebackers. You get a chance to finish a block on a linebacker, go get him. And again, all those same fundamentals there. Butt down, feet apart, hands inside. Now go finish that block. Okay, perfect. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but after all these years of this tremendously successful clinic that the offensive line has been put on, the defensive line now has tried to start something up. They started up this year, and I kind of got a little word of it, and so I sent my GA out to find out a little bit more about it. And so I sent him to this clinic, and he got there, and he couldn't actually get in because he didn't have on his business card, it had to say a defensive line coach, or they weren't going to let you in. They weren't going to give up the goods, and so we're trying to get the goods. And so he wasn't able to actually get in, but he was able to kind of see the proceedings, what was going on a little bit. And so he took a little picture, and I wanted just to share with you what he saw. Okay? And so I think the bottom line is we're good for a couple years still. They're behind us still. And at this point, I think it still is just A gap, B gap to them. I really appreciate you guys' time. It's a huge honor to be here. I'll be here tomorrow if anybody has questions.